like it. We're all on the same page to start this morning. Let's kick things off with some Thursday night football. Last night, little Bucs, little Eagles in Philadelphia, and it was clearly a business trip for Tom Brady and Leonard Fournette. Pair of touchdown passes for Brady, pair of rushing touchdowns for Fournette as the Bucs held off a late rally from Jalen Hurts to nab the win. 28-22 is your final. Tampa Bay Buccaneers now 5-1 on the season. That is the good news. The bad news, more injuries to that secondary. Richard Sherman had to leave with a hamstring injury during the Eagles' first drive. But Chris Broussard, are Brady and the 5-1 Bucs the best team in the NFC?
They are, Jenna. I don't know if I'll get some pushback on this set, but they are the best team in the NFC. I know they weren't overly impressive last night, but they were up 28-7 with a couple minutes left in the third quarter until fatigue got to them in the end. And yes, I said fatigue because this was their third victory third game in 12 days. All right, 12 days. And it's tough. You know this, Nick. It's tough to go on the road on short rest. Remember, they just played on Sunday. Short rest and get a win, especially when you're missing two of your best defensive players in Levante David and Antoine Winfield Jr. So it was a good win for them. They've got 12 days off until you see them again. And when you see them again, they're going to look like the best team in the NFC. They've got the best offense in the NFC. I know you might say, well, what about Arizona? What about Dallas? Well, Tom Brady's better than Dak, and he's better than Kyler Murray, and they got a better receiver. Even Dallas' receiving core is great, but I would even take Tampa Bay's receiving core slightly over Dallas's. Running game, I'm going to say this. Leonard Fournette, he might be headed for a Pro Bowl season. With what he's doing, catching the ball and running it, I love what Fournette is doing. You question the defense. That's obviously the struggles. What about that pass defense? It's poor, but I think you're going to go Dallas, Nick. Dallas is poor, too.
Injured.
Trayvon Diggs is fantastic, but he can't guard everybody. He can't guard A.B., Antonio Brown,
sure seems like
Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, 3 tight ends, and Gio Bernard out of the backfield. He can't guard all of them.
Oh,
so I've got the edge for Tampa Bay. And the bottom line is this, Nick. One game, your season's on the line. Who you picking for quarterback? Is it Aaron Rodgers, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, anybody else in the NFC? Matt Stafford. Out of those guys and Tom Brady, I don't even have to say the name. I don't even have to give the answer. It's almost embarrassing to ask what quarterback you take. We all would take Brady. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the best team in the NFC, Nick.
Well, that's a different question than what's on the bottom of the screen. What quarterback would you take in the NFC with one game with your life on the line? The answer probably is Brady. But are they the best in the NFC? It matters, but it's not the entirety of the equation. So much of what Broussard said there, though, is just, and I hate to start a Friday like this, but I know Broussard's, in the comedy business now, but it's laughable. I mean, we're talking fatigue. We're going with the fatigue factor. Oh, okay. Had Philly not been playing, I guess I missed that part. Also, the Eagles. I'm old enough to remember that, when the Chiefs rolled the Eagles, we were like, yeah, but the Eagles stink. The Chiefs beat them by 12 and were up by 19 with 5 seconds left. The Eagles stink. Last night's game, it's a 6-point game late. Now the Bucs win. I think the Bucs are very, very good. And this is what I'm going to say about them. I think they are going to have the best path to the Super Bowl of any team in the NFC. You know who the Bucs remind me of? Last year's Chiefs. So the season before, middling team throughout the majority of the year, get hot at the end of the regular season, start a winning streak, extend the winning streak into the postseason, win the Super Bowl, and then are screaming all year long. The Chiefs were 14-1 last year in the 15 games before they rested everybody as they defended their Super Bowl. The Bucs, I don't think they're going to be 14-1, but look at the schedule. They have the Bills on it. Other than the Bills, Their next toughest games are at New Orleans and then I guess at Carolina. Their third toughest game is at the Panthers. So I do think they're going to be the 1 seed. And that obviously matters more in the last couple of years than any time before because you're the only team in your conference with the bye. However, if we were going to talk about head-to-head, I think the Cowboys are better. Oh, hey, look at the Bucs receivers. I don't really care about that. That's probably Wilds' thing. If we're going to talk about the head-to-head, I think the Cowboys are better, and I think the Rams are better. I understand the Bucs beat the Cowboys, but the Bucs also lost to the Rams, and we're looking forward. So I think head-to-head, those teams are slightly better, but the Bucs are going to be the best position team because of the schedule that I don't think they're bad secondary Wilds. Anyone's going to be able to take advantage of it. They don't play any good quarterbacks, one could argue, all year. Well, I guess Josh Allen. So they play Josh Allen, and that's the list as far as the rest of the year good quarterbacks. So that's it, Wild. So, no, I think they're good. I think they're potentially very good. I don't think they're the best team in the NFC. I do think they'll have the best record.
Yeah, I think they're the best team in the NFL. You know, I'm a records guy, so sometimes I look at best record and best quarterback of all time. I say, you know what, that's pretty good. So here's why I think they're so good.
Bill Parcells.
Hey, you are what your record is. So look, I think Tom Brady is doing things right now that are so easy for him that you have to be impressed. Quick story about my dad, who's a carpenter. We went and worked on my garage. My dad said, hey, do you want a shelf there? I was like, I don't know. And he's and all of a sudden there was a shelf there. I said, woo. You really know what you're doing, huh? That would have taken me 3 days, and you did it in 2 minutes. That's what Tom Brady is doing. Tom Brady, and we gave you the trailer, but now you get to see the full movie if I could show this graphic. The wide receivers are all being fed. Now, you might tell me this is a coincidence, but I think Tom Brady is in the game thinking, all right, well, I'm definitely going to win the game. Who needs a little bit of love? AB, here's some action for you. So AB got some love yesterday. This is amazing. The other thing, Broussard, was the fourth and 4th and 3 play from midfield.
4th and 2.
Bucs are up 14. The go for it robot, which is the only robot that I like, said, it's a toss up. So they didn't run the ball. They didn't give it to your guy, Gio Bernard. They're like, yeah, I'll just throw it down here. If we get it, great. If we don't, and the Eagles score, which they do, and cut it to 6, there was a palpable sense with Tom Brady's like, yeah, I'll just score another touchdown. Or I'll just bring the ball down, and we'll just kneel on it. It's not. There's a sense of ease that is bordering on boredom of how good the Bucs are, and that's what makes me think they're the best team in the league.
Wiles, you make a great point about the receivers because usually when there's a plethora of weapons, we wonder, is everybody going to be happy? Will Mike Evans and Chris Godwin be happy if AB's there? They're all getting fed. And the running backs are happy too. Because somehow, even though they throw the ball all over the place, Leonard Fournette is still getting enough touches, whether it's running the ball or catching it. And so that's a great point, Wilds. They're able to feed everyone. And you're right. And Nick brought up the Chiefs and the Eagles. I would argue, Nick, that Tampa Bay played with more ease and had an easier time with Philadelphia over the first 3 quarters than the Chiefs did. I mean, it was a blowout. It was 28-7.
I mean, you can make the argument.
I almost turned it off and went to bed. I mean, luckily I didn't.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, I mean, you can make that argument. I can make the argument that my name is Marquis Lassad, but it'd be a bad argument. The Chiefs were up 42 to, what was the score? 42 to 23 with 10 seconds left in the game.
Okay.
To make the argument in the game that was a...
Hold on. They've only got 2 wins. Don't try to take it from him.
No. I'm not. No,
it'd be a bad argument, like a bad take.
But it's just a bad argument. However, I have to say one thing real quick. Because like Broussard was tracking the Ravens rushing record. You guys know I'm tracking is an interception Tom Brady's fault record. I am relieved to report streak intact. You might say, Nick, that interception, he overthrew his guy by 12 yards.
No, that was his fault.
Guys, we've been told that was on 3rd and 15, so that's an arm punt Actually a good play by Brady. If you guys didn't know, actually a good play. Punter, it hasn't been reported yet. Punter's hammy was a little tight. Brady went out there and said, I'll take one for the team, guys. Let me just go ahead and punt this one away. As an added bonus, the referee